In the last bunch of videos, we have found the derivatives of a bunch of elementary functions. We know about polynomials, we know about sine and cosine, we know about exponential and logarithmic functions. But there are a lot of more complicated functions that are built up from these elementary functions. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to examine a couple of rules that calculus has that lets us find the derivatives of those really easily, as long as we know the derivatives of the two component parts. So let's take a look at the document camera and see an example of what I'm talking about. All right, so right here we've got f of x is equal to x squared times sine of x. So we know about the derivative of x squared, that's 2x, and we know about the derivative of sine x, that's cosine x. So that's a great amount of information, but when you multiply these two functions together, we can't just multiply the two derivatives together. It doesn't work that way. So instead, what we need is what's called the product rule. So the product rule, remember the product is what happens when you multiply two things. So just like we're multiplying these two functions, we want to find the derivative of the product. And so if f and g are both differentiable functions, then the derivative of f times g evaluated at x is equal to the derivative of f evaluated at x times g of x plus the derivative of g evaluated at x times f of x. And so that's kind of a complicated way of saying it. Here's a shorter way, that if J is defined as the product of f and g evaluated at x, then, and they should make a point of saying that J is differentiable. That would be a nice thing for them to add in. And to evaluate the derivative of J at x, we just need to take the derivative of f multiplied by g plus the derivative of g multiplied by f. Okay, and so let me slightly change this. I had called this f of x in this function, but it would be less complicated if we call it h of x and just apply this rule to it. All right, so what are the f and g in this function? Well, f of x is the first thing that we're multiplying, which is equal to x squared, and g of x is the second part that we're multiplying, which is sine of x. And so we know how to calculate the derivative of both of those functions. So f prime of x is equal to 2x, and g prime of x is equal to cosine of x. And so what the product rule says is that we can find the derivative of h by taking that product and adding it to that product. So h prime of x is equal to x squared times cosine x plus 2x times sine of x. So that's a powerful tool. And so the product rule allows us to find the derivative of complicated functions by just knowing the derivative, but we need to combine them in that specific way that's mentioned by the product rule. In the next video, I'm going to do a quick example with polynomials to give us some sort of sense that the product rule is going to work out for us.